right, girls, let's begin our first lesson in science. We did have a few lessons about trees and leaves, but now we're really going to get into the deep here. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to learn a word. Okay? This is actually a review word. So a word that I've probably used lots of times when talking about trees and leaves in the past, and the word is observe. Say observe. Good. Let's clap. Observe. Observe. How many syllables in the word observe? Ready? Observe. 2. Observe. 2 syllables. Let's write the word observe together. Everybody say O. B. S. E. R. B. E. That's a terrible S. My thumb got in the way, so I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to go over it, neaten it out a little bit. There we go. That's better. Say observe. When you are going to observe something, it means that you are going to look at it very closely. Okay? You're going to look at it very closely. Observe. Let's count how many letters are in observe. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to put a 7 down here for 7 letters. All right, I'm going to take our word observe, and you can do this exact same thing at home. It'd be good to have these words up and visible where you can see them. And I am going to tape it on my cabinet so you can see that word observe behind me. You do the same thing at home. All right, so we are going to observe some materials today. Everybody say materials. Good. Let's clap out the syllables of material. Ready? Here we go. Material. Whoa, that was a lot of counts. Let's do it again. Material. Oy, oy, oy. I don't know if we can count that many in our head. Let's try it with our fingers. Ready? Put your fist out in front of you. And let's say each part of material, and every time we say a part, a finger goes up. Ready? Material. How many syllables in the word material? 4. I'm going to write that right now on our card. We already know that there's 4 materials. Okay, ready? 4 parts of materials. Now we're going to write it, and then we're going to count the letters. Here we go. Say M. Say A. Say T. Say E. Say R. I. A. L. Material. All right, that's a tricky word. Oh, I want to count the letters of material. Ready? Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to put an 8. Here we go. Make an S. Do not wait. Go back up. It's number 8. All right. So material has 8 letters, 4 syllables. It's going up on the word wall, word cabinet. There it is, material. All right, so what is the material that we are going to be investigating today? I think you might know. What is this? What is this? Yes, it's wood. Wood is a material. And yes, we are going to investigate wood. Okay? You might be saying, why? What is wood? Well, that's not true. Wood is just not wood. There's lots of things to learn about wood. Okay? Lots of things. And so right now, what I want you to do is I want you to get out your 5 pieces of wood. You should have 5. Do not take out the one that's wrapped up in sandpaper, okay? That's for a different lesson. I want you to take out the 5 loose pieces of wood, not the thin ones, just these. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause this video, and you're going to observe your pieces of wood. Observe. What does observe mean? Look very closely at your wood, okay? Because when you come back in a few minutes, I'm going to ask you what you observed, okay? I'm going to ask you some questions, and hopefully at this point, we will be able to record some of your thinking to post to Seesaw, okay? So, observe, and it's okay to play with the wood too, make some structures or whatever. Take about 5 minutes. Okay? All right, pause this video. See you in 5 minutes. All right, you are back. Awesome. All right, so now that you have taken some time to investigate and observe the material wood, I am going to ask you some questions. Okay? And hopefully you have lots of things to tell me. So these are the questions that you can answer when you're talking to me on Seesaw, okay? So the first question is, I don't know. Let me pick up some wood here. I got 2 pieces of wood, okay? 2 pieces of wood. If you want to pick up the same 2 pieces, that you can, or if you want to talk about 2 different pieces in your Seesaw video, that's fine too. But I've just picked up 2 pieces of wood. Are they the same? How are they the same? Are they different? How are they different? Can wood be the same and different? Huh. Well, what do these 2 pieces of wood have that are the same? What do these 2 pieces of wood have that are different? And if you notice little black dots or red dots on the bottom of your wood, ignore that. That's just to help me make sure that I sort the wood back into the correct pile. So I put that little teeny tiny dot there, and we're just going to ignore it, okay? So, what is the same and different? Maybe you picked up these 2 pieces of wood. Tell me about it. Tell me about it on Seesaw. What is the same and different about this wood, these 2 pieces of wood? You pick any 2 pieces that you want to talk about. And we're going to talk about what about them is the same and what about them is different. Okay, the next one. Do any of your pieces of wood feel heavier than other pieces? Like, for instance, I don't know, this piece of red cedar here. And hold it next to the plywood. This here. Does this? Do they feel the same weight or no? Pick up 2 more pieces. Is some wood heavier than another? How does it feel? Feel your wood. Hold it in your hand. Tell me. Does some feel heavier than others? How does your wood smell? Have you smelled it yet? Have you? How does it feel? Talk about texture. Can you say texture? Texture is another word for our word wall. Are you ready? Texture. What does texture start with? Yeah. Say T. Say E. Say X. Say T. Say U. Say R. Say E. Texture. Texture is, how does it feel? Is it soft? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Is it scratchy? What's the texture of your wood? Is all the texture of every piece of wood the same or different? We can go back to that first question there, right? Texture has how many syllables? Let's clap. Texture. That was easy. 2. How many letters in the word texture? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across the sky and down from heaven. High to low, it's number 7. Okay, guess where that word's going? Right where your word should be going. On your word cabinet or on your word wall, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we have observe, materials, these are our materials, and texture. What is the texture of your wood? Tell me about it on Seesaw. All right, so now you can talk to me about other things that you noticed. What are some other things that you noticed about your wood? Okay, some of the wood is pretty weird looking. I'll tell you that right now. Tell me about it. What does it look like? What do you think it's made of? How is it made? Okay, so now you've paused your video again, hopefully. You have gone on to Seesaw and told me all these wonderful things about your wood. Okay, so now we're actually going to identify the wood. I'm going to tell you what each type is and where it comes from. Are you ready? All right, so I have these amazing posters here, but I have them all rolled up. So when I just went to go use them before this lesson, I couldn't get them to unroll because when something's been rolled up for a long time, it stays rolled up. So then I had to roll it the other way to kind of flatten it out. And I think it has worked because now they're laying a little bit flatter. Okay, so the first thing I am going to show you is this poster. Okay, we have these trees everywhere in Maine, like everywhere you look. There are cedar trees. Say cedar tree. Yes, cedar tree. And the cedar tree is this block of wood right here. And you might have a little red dot. See? A little red dot. That means red cedar. Alright, smell it. Yeah, it smells like Maine. Alright, so red cedar tree. It is a conifer tree. Remember, a conifer tree has a trunk that goes all the way to the top. The whole main trunk goes all the way to the top, and then the little branches come off from the all around the trunk. It is also a conifer tree because it has the pine needles. It's part of the evergreenish looking trees, and therefore it will always be green. It doesn't change colors like our deciduous hardwood friends like maple trees and birch trees, okay? So our conifer tree, where do you think this cedar comes from? Cedar comes from a cedar tree. Okay? All right. So, now we got that out of the way. Let me find my linden tree. Everybody say linden tree. Linden trees are not conifer trees, as you can tell. Let me get straighter here. Conifer trees have that lovely trunk that go all the way up to the tippy top. And the branches come down. Our linden tree, okay, our linden tree is a deciduous tree. The trunk usually goes to about here, and then all the little branches start coming off from the top of the trunk, and then the branches grow, and then the branches turn into twigs, and then the twigs turn into stems, and the stems turn into leaves, and all of these lovely leaves change color, so that would make this a deciduous tree, and then they fall off the tree in the winter. You will have a piece of wood that will have a black dot on both sides. I know, a black dot on both sides, like that. This is called basswood. Basswood comes from a linden tree. I don't know why they don't call it lindenwood. I don't know. This is the way it is. So say basswood. Basswood, yes, comes from a linden tree. Okay? A deciduous tree. Now we have, smell it. It's a piece of pine. There is no dots on either end. And also, it's not these two very odd looking pieces of wood. It looks the most like the basswood. They're almost identical. Okay, but you can smell the pitch. Smell and pine. Smell it. Smells good. Okay, pine trees. Another conifer tree. Conifer tree has that trunk that goes up, 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 all the way to the top. And then the branches come off the trunk from the tippy top all the way down. All right? Again, it is filled with needles, and the needles stay green all year long. Okay? Pine tree. Maine is the pine tree state. Okay, pine tree. So now you know that pine comes from a pine tree. And you know that basswood comes from a linden tree. And you know that cedar comes from a cedar tree. So this right here is called plywood. Please get your piece of plywood out and hold it in your hand. Plywood. Nice. Plywood comes from a plywood tree? You think so? Let's find out. Here's where plywood comes from. Ha! That doesn't look like a tree to me. Or at least not this kind of a tree. Let's talk. Plywood production. Plywood begins as a log. Okay, so there's the tree. Doesn't say what kind of tree, so I guess all kinds of trees. And all of the branches are taken off. Follow the arrow. What is this? As the log is turned around and around, a big knife cuts off a long, thin layer of wood, like paper towels coming off a roll. Kind of like this, right? And a big knife is shaving it to be really, really skinny. Okay, next. Several of the thin sheets are glued together like a sandwich and pressed to make one piece of plywood. Oh, I skipped a step. I went from here to here, silly me. Okay, so it goes off the paper towel, comes down here, and then glue is put on the thin sheet. Okay, so it goes on like a conveyor belt. This machine here squirts some glue on it, right? And then all the sheets are glued together in a big plywood sandwich. Oh, look at that. Do you see all those layers of plywood? Look at, and I think there's definitely different kinds of wood. Look, they're all different colors, aren't they? Interesting. I love it. So, does plywood come from a plywood tree? No. People make plywood. There's no such thing as a plywood tree. They just take all different kinds of trees, as you can see, the different colors and shades of tree, and they cut them really thin, slop them up with glue, smush them together to make a sandwich, a wood sandwich, and voila, plywood. Interesting. Okay, so what does that mean? It means our last piece of wood. Are you ready? Get out this last piece of wood. This, my friends, is called Particle board. Say particle board. Particle board, yes. Particle board. Where does particle board come from? Maybe. I don't think I've ever heard of a particle board tree. Have you heard of a particle board tree? Let's find out. Particle board. Ooh, I have the poster here. It's going to tell us right where particle board comes from. Let's see. I see trees again. Ah, trees. Let's see where particle board comes from. Particle board production. Particle board begins as trees in the forest. As logs are cut into lumber, sawdust piles up underneath. Oh, so when they're taking the logs and cutting them into lumber boards, all this stuff that falls to the ground piles up down there. Oh, there it is again. Look, sawdust is mixed with resin, a kind of glue. So sawdust is mixed with a kind of glue that they call resin, okay? So they mix it, and then it goes into this machine. The sawdust and the resin mixture is put into a machine that squeezes it out like toothpaste. Cool. But into a flat sheet instead. Okay, so it gets squeezed into this machine, comes out like a flat sheet. Then the sheets are dried. Nice. They use like heat lamps, kind of like people who raise chickens use heat lamps to keep the chickens warm. Yeah. Or like grow flowers. And then the sheets of particle board are stacked until they are shipped to a lumber yard. Oh my stars. That's what all these little pieces are. Look, you can see. You can probably, if you take your finger and scratch it a little bit, you can like get little pieces of sawdust off. Yes. And I can even see where the machine smushed the particle board because it's like super, super, super smooth on one side and then really rough, and the texture is really rough and like scratchy on this side. So this must be the top and the bottom where that machine squeezed it out into a board. That's so cool. Even the edges, the ends are scratchy. But if you look really closely, you can totally see all the little pieces of sawdust. Huh! How interesting. All right, so particle board does not come from a particle tree. Starts off as trees. Could be any kind of tree, just like plywood. And so they don't waste any good wood because trees are important and we don't want to waste anything that comes from trees. So they don't waste anything, even the stuff that falls on the floor gets turned into a material that we can use. Amazing. So now your job is two things. You need to take your "this is made of wood" labels that are inside your kit. I'm going to move this stuff around. And I want you to go around your house labeling your house, all the things that you can find that are made out of wood. I'm sorry if I didn't send you enough labels. You can make more yourself on Post-its if you would like to. And then I would like you to go outside and do the same thing. Find things outside that are made with wood. Trees are not made of wood. Trees are wood. So tree wouldn't be a good thing to label. But if you have something outside that's made with using the wood from trees, label it. Send me some pictures. Not a million, but a few. And I cannot wait to see. And then after that, one last thing. You are going to put a post into your science notebook. Your science notebook, okay? You're going to put the heading, "What is made of wood?" Have your mom write it down for you on the top with the date. What is made of wood, and where does wood come from? Use drawings to answer those two questions. So where does wood come from? Well, it depends on what type of wood, I guess, you are talking about. Doesn't all come from trees, really. Plywood is wood, but we found out that that comes from people making it, right? So, and find something in your house that you can draw that's made of wood. Huh. I'm going to label my cabinets because my cabinets are made of wood. Ooh, I even have a pencil. Pencils are made of wood. All right, that's it. That's all you have to do. Go outside, label things outside, inside, label things inside, and then answer those two questions in your science notebook. Okay, have a wonderful, wonderful day.